All right. Welcome back to ServiceSharp. This is Jason Gibson. I have a very new guest for us. Of course, you know Randy, who is always here with us. And I have a new guest, Frances Martens. Frances Martin is a co-owner of and I'll have you pronounce the name. It's iDalko, correct?
iDalko, yeah.
iDalko, yeah. And so, Frances, tell me a little bit about what you do.
All right. So maybe I'm indeed, Frances, thank you for having me here on the podcast. I'm a developer. I started as a developer a long time ago. I grew into more a startup position here at iDalko. iDalko was started in 2011, almost 10 years old, as an Atlassian solution partner. So focused on deploying Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, this type of applications to our customers here in Belgium and in France. And so that business grew. We are now in the consultancy part with 24 people and really focused on this type of application.
Okay.
During our consultancy, we did find quite a bit of needs around integrating issue trackers or work management systems with other systems. So in 2015, we decided to help our customers to integrate their environment with some other environments, and the product Xlate was born. Xlate is an integration solution positioned as a cross-company integration solution, because we found out when doing cross-company integrations that you really need something else than the standard integration solutions that you have on the market today. And so because most integration solutions are focused on internal use cases, where you want to connect your ServiceNow with your Jira, and that worked fine. There are really good solutions on the market that provide all the capabilities and what you need to implement that. But when you go to cross-company, you get a completely different environment to work in. And the main reason is because you have two organizations who are not related to each other. So every company has its own technologies, processes, people, agendas, and so doing a cross-company integration is a completely different topic. And so within iDalko, we decided, okay, let's create a solution for that, and that's Xlate. Okay.
All right, awesome. And what have you were talking earlier before the podcast, we were kind of chatting a little bit. You were telling us about the new stuff that you've been working on. What is it that you've been working on recently?
So we've been focusing on Xlate since 2015, next to our consultancy. Initially, Xlate provides you the capability to integrate Atlassian Jira with another Atlassian Jira. And but the fact is that not every company is using Jira.
Right. Yeah.
Although the capabilities of that product evolved quite a bit. Initially Jira to Jira, and now we've been adding support for Zendesk, GitHub, Azure DevOps, but also ServiceNow.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And ServiceNow was a completely like a new thing for us. We started to adapt the product for ServiceNow like about 2 years ago. And we introduced it on the market I think 12 to 15 months ago. Yeah. And of course, ServiceNow is such a vast system with so many capabilities that every day is a learning experience.
Yeah. Well, and it feels like it's unlimited, and that's one thing about ServiceNow that I've always loved is it always feels unlimited. And when you're connecting to a tool that is, that large and that encompassing, I would imagine that you probably don't have everything connected. I don't think how that would even be possible, but what are the more recent things that you've been able to use with ServiceNow?
Well, so we initially started with just supported incidents because that was the normal thing. You get an incident and that needs to be escalated. Sorry, escalate is a wordplay on escalate. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it needs to be escalated towards Jira or towards Azure DevOps, but then. Potential customer came to us and said, well, Francis, that's not sufficient because you need to support also request items and change and all this nice stuff. And so we started to expand support of these different entities. Yeah. And so we've been working on that, and the next thing is because you get so many different entities in ServiceNow, we said, well, instead of crafting a support for every entity separately, let's expand it and support all the entities, because ServiceNow has this nice table structure where we should access. And so we've been working on that. But then, of course, one prospect came to us and said, we would like to use Escalate, but it should not use the incident table directly.
Yeah, so I've had that concern with architects before as well.
Security is really important, obviously, and so they came to us and they said, well, Escalate should support the import API, and the import API then allows you to sanitize all the data which comes in before you put it in the production tables, right?
Yeah,
and
that's actually really cool that you talk about that. That is a big conversation and a big debate that we've had many times. Is do we import directly into the API, into the incident API, or to the API that they've created for it? And a lot of people say yes, but I'm in the same mind often that there are times that you want to be able to massage the data and you can't really do that. So bring it into an import table really expands the potential. And it really doesn't. A lot of people say, well, it might slow it down. I'm not really sure that actually, I think that it's so minuscule. I don't think it matters. But so what do you think? Are you working on building it through the import sets?
So it's done. It's now supporting the import API, and we don't see a big performance impact on the organization itself. So it's also, and that was a bit of our concern, is that the import API would process the incoming data asynchronously, right?
Right.
But that's not the case, because Escalate tries to ensure that every synchronization happens. So whenever you do a change, that change will get to the other side. If there's an error, you will get notified. But if not, then it just get processed.
Okay, excellent.
But if the import API would be processed with process incoming information in an asynchronous way, then we could not guarantee that premise.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so it's now synchronous. It's really good. And so one of the things also is this particular customer also said, well, we don't want that you access the incident table directly whenever you want to read the data and whenever you want to have access.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense to me at all. I mean, when you're pulling data, you're pulling data. It's not going to affect ServiceNow at all.
No, but the thing is that the concern was that the integration solution, like Escalate, would read data which is not meant for the other side.
Right? I see what you're saying.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So they can filter a little bit about what goes out that pipe. So if there's any private information or any customer sensitive information or something like that, that's great, because one of the industries that I've worked in quite a bit is healthcare, and that's a huge, if you're going to integrate and try to do something between two healthcare entities to share information or to do support or triage. We actually did a thing one time where we use ServiceNow as a way to reach out to a partner program for oncology consults, and so that kind of solution is actually pretty cool because that makes it a lot less a problem for complying with PHI rules and things like that. So that's pretty cool to hear about.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in this case, it was indeed. So what they did was they changed actually we did. There was also an experience. We implemented webhooks, like business rules and all this. Yeah. It's also a learning experience there.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that you're flexible, right? You seems like you're flexible when it comes to what the requirements of the customers are.
Well, if you want to build a product, what we would like to do, what our vision is more and more companies are using work management systems, and they need to be able to integrate to each other. Because if you don't do that, you get all this friction whenever you want to exchange information. And falling back to email or to spreadsheets, it's not 21st century anymore, right?
No, right. Yeah.
Also, this all this pandemic stuff will pushes up the fact that companies get more and more organized in a structured way. They will buy into ServiceNow, to Jira or Zendesk, whatever work management, to ensure that they can get organized internally. Yeah. And
go ahead. I was just going to say, that's one of the things that's exciting about ServiceNow and your company as well. Just they're tools that really aid during this time. They make it possible to get organized fast and to be able to make those connections. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the stock price of ServiceNow.
Yeah. It's done okay.
So the thing is, the more companies who are that are using work management systems, the higher the need is to do this cross-company integration.
Right.
We envision that the same thing will happen with cross-company integration as what happened with the internet in the 90s. So more and more companies will start to integrate to each other, to exchange tasks, complaints, whatever, in a structured manner. Yeah. And
I think that's amazing. Not only do I think it's amazing, I think it is where we're headed, because the transfer of information from one company to the next is crucial in getting the customers what they want, when they want, how they want, right? And if you can share the data between companies, it just makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I like where you're going, because I have a personal crusade against email right now. I mean, it's just, it was the greatest thing ever for a long time, but it's become a hindrance to productivity here lately, and to accuracy. And especially if you're trying to get, and I do a lot of project coordination, and when you're trying to get 2 or 3 companies together and you're emailing the same document over and over, you get to a meeting and, people have 4 different versions of the document or 4 different versions of the information or something like that. It's just, it really breaks the productivity instead of enhancing it. So building these custom, customer to customer, business to business integrations where they can run projects side by side, where they can run, tickets side by side, where they can, reach out. And the possibilities are endless. I can think of some really great use cases with supply chains to be able to, bring in inventory, do orders and do par levels and things like that between different systems. And so I'm pretty I'm pumped up hearing about the product. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we're still debating a good name for this market, like the task management network, or task network, or like So like you have social network, you would have a task network.
Yeah. I like it. Task network. Yeah.
All right. All right, so let's do this, guys. I hate to do this, but we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back, and we will talk more about the fun integrations. So hang on just a minute while we pay the bills.
This podcast was made with Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to create and publish your podcast. It's free. Creation tools with it allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Helps you distribute your podcast. It's super simple to publish to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, any of the major ones. You can make money from your podcast. There's no minimum listenership, so they make it super easy to monetize. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So why don't you go out and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started.
All right, we're back. This is Jason Gibson, Randy Haas, and I keep calling you Francis, but with Frances Martens on the phone with us. Francis, do you go by Francis?
Francis is okay.
Okay, all right. Good. So we're talking about companies integrating within or outside to additional companies, right? What's the most common ones you've seen?
The most common ones, the typical one is the service desk to development.
Okay.
Yeah. So where one company is raising incidents on their ServiceNow, and that gets then synchronized with the development team.
Okay.
So the second one is like the qualification is done by an outsourced company, probably in India. They have all their test cases and things in HP Quality Center, and then they push the defects to ServiceNow or to Jira or whatever. This is the second type of cross company integration that we see a lot. So I don't know what type of integrations have you guys been working on?
Well, it's interesting. So, we've had to do a couple of cross-company integrations with ServiceNow instances having to push to additional external service desk sites as well. People tend to try and play things really close to the vest when it comes to their data, and I understand that, but I just see the potential to do that with Microsoft especially. I mean, Microsoft is one of the largest, softwares we use, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to get better integrations within the system, because right now they have a few things that revolving, but like SCCM is pretty fleshed out, but you have things like Splunk and others that until recently they've just been pretty minimal. So it's interesting because ServiceNow is trying to build those out and make them a little more effective, but there's just still so many gaps out there that I think that what you guys do is pretty special.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say for me, the ones that I've been involved in most have been internal integrations, like you were saying earlier, that Workday to ServiceNow and things like that. Where people have Workday for onboarding, but they want to bring it in ServiceNow to automate tasks and things like that. So we've seen quite a bit of that. I've seen a few use cases where we have two companies that share facilities, like in a tenant in common type thing for building. So one facility's department is using ServiceNow and the other is using something like Manage Engine Service Desk or something like that. And so trying to sync those up, naturally a challenge because neither company wants the other company to be easily able to sync with their information, so that, that's been a use case that we've been challenged with is, each company wants to raise their tickets and wants to rate through their internal process, but they want to be in sync with each other. And so we've it's been kind of a struggle. You can do the typical things like email the ticket and then intake it that way, but you lose you lose some flexibility when you do that.
Well, and it's not very stable. I mean, it's just not a good solution. The direct API is always going to be correct every time. And with email, there's too many variables that could make it go wrong.
Yeah, we've been experimenting with email, but the number of times that one mail arrives not in sequence, almost all the time. And then to have a consistent data is really difficult. Something we also learned, because Xcelate is a third iteration of an integration product, is that autonomy is really important in cross-company integration. You want every team wants to have full control on their environment, and so we decided to in designing Xcelate to have a distributed architecture. So what you do is you deploy Xcelate on both sides of the connection, and it will do the translation between the local data or local information into a common format. So that whenever you want to synchronize between ServiceNow and Azure DevOps or ServiceNow and Jira, the way that it works is identical. You just specify what information can be sent out, using Groovy scripts, and how incoming information needs to be processed. And so whenever your local configuration changes because you got new workflow statuses or new custom fields, whatever, you can still ensure that the messages that you agreed with your counterparty is still respected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And so you can imagine if you connect to 5 or 10 different suppliers, you can still have full control of your own environment without need to negotiate with these 10 suppliers about how that integration should work exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So I like to brag a bit about Xcelate.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. It seems like a great product, and for everything I've been able to look at, it's really been it has a lot of potential to do a lot of great things. And that's where I think it has the most, is that it is it's in its adolescence. So it's a nice mature product, but it has so much more potential to do. And that's what I think is great about that. I think the same thing about ServiceNow as a whole. It may be a tad bit older, but it has so much more room to grow. Yeah. And those are the kind of products you want to, trying to be involved with, is things that have that kind of growth potential, Yeah,
I like the word adolescence. How do you say it?
Adolescence.
Adolescence, yeah.
I think that applies more to the market. Like you said, it's kind of a new, market, a task network, to build, and I think you're ahead of the curve from other companies. What I see a lot is people look at ServiceNow and they see it as a ticketing system, or they have a specific need, and they see that niche need that they pull in, and a lot of places, a lot of the big companies are using it, to the fullest, and they're really using it to be a full back-end fabric for everything, I would say. But the majority of businesses in the world are medium to small businesses. They're not gigantic businesses, and so that market there and the amount of integrations that can go on between those companies and things like that's an astronomical use case. Just there's a lot of efficiency that can be gained by doing that, so brokering that data between back and forth.
Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah. So there's another term you mentioned, is flexibility. Flexibility is also key, especially in integrations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, where I see I also think that there's a pretty good need, and Randy, you can speak probably more to this, but I think there's a huge need to integrate medical systems as well, between medical systems and between medical to IT systems. Like it'd be great, you know, when you're talking about getting an incident from, you know, a medical system that's gone wrong, something's broke, and there's such a broad area of that, you know, and such difficulty with a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of, in the medical field especially, there's a lot of room for technological adoption. You know, it's weird because you would think that the two industries that would be on top of technology is the banking industry and the medical industry, but they both tend to lag behind the curve a little bit as far as adopting technology. But I see a lot of potential in using anonymized data. You know, we're talking about protecting the PHI and things like that, and the PII, but being able to share things so that you can kind of see trends. You know, you got all these little hospitals, rural hospitals and small hospitals all over the place, and if they could broker that data back and forth, you would see trends faster on things, or you might be able to say, connect to specialists in other areas pretty quick. That they could look at the data and go, "Oh, hey, I can help that, you know, that hospital or something like that." And so I see a lot of potential there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the one thing. We love ServiceNow. We love technology. You know, we spend a lot of our time in ServiceNow, but we do love all kinds of different technologies as well. So we are kind of the developer nerds, and that helps with understanding what the big picture is. But it is enjoyable.
It is absolutely.
How long did you say your company's been in?
We started in 2011.
2011. Okay.
Yeah. So going 10 years next year.
Yeah, 10 years. That's awesome. And you quite a bit of growth over that time. Yeah.
So currently 64 people.
Wow.
And located in 6 locations worldwide.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good. So actually, we have about 800 customers for Excelate.
Awesome.
It starts to come.
Is there a particular industry or that heavily engaged in it first, or was it kind of more of a technology based?
Initially, especially in the Atlassian market, it was really broad over many different companies. But we do see a trend in digital agencies or managed service vendors or outsourcing companies who are using this to connect with all their customers and their suppliers. So the main benefit is that you can keep on working on your own service now. You don't need to change seats to exchange the information, and that's helping a lot in the efficiency. There's a lot less friction. And because companies like managed services vendors, they have to work with their customers. A typical use case is SLA enforcement, because you integrate your own work management system with that of your customer. From the moment that the customer has a complaint or whatever, a request, Excelate will confirm at what moment that information has been synchronized towards the services, and that's really helpful.
Yeah, everybody working from the same clock is very helpful. When a customer onboards with you, what's the typical time frame? Is it pretty fast to get up and running, or is it?
So once that you have set up the infrastructure, because you have to create the network between the two, setting up a basic connection is half a day work max.
Oh wow!
To get your incidents synced with issues, but then things become more complicated because then people start to think, oh, can we do it this way? Is this possible?
Yeah.
And so some companies are spending like a week or 2 weeks to set up the full integration. Yeah. So.
That's pretty quick. That's pretty good. To be able to turn that around like that. Yeah.
We like to be challenged also. If you with this really complex integration thing.
That's the fun part of it is getting a task that you first look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this at all. And then, a week later, you're like, okay, we totally solved that. What's the next?
Give me more.
Yeah, give me more. Yeah, that's the fun stuff. Yeah, we like to do that. That's one thing that customers will always do is come up with a new situation.
All the time. It's never someone saying, okay, we're done.
Yeah, it is definitely. That's a beautiful thing about being in the tech business, in the development business as well. It's just you think you've seen it, and then you get a new customer and you haven't.
Okay, start over.
Yeah, start over. Yeah, but that's where that's where some of the greatest features come from too. Is those one-off requests, and you go, oh wow, there's a use case out here for this, and so that's good. Yeah, and everybody benefits from it. All the future customers benefit from that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how all products start to grow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, hey, we appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us. How's everything? Here in the U.S., our cases and stuff like that are still kind of crazy and everything like that. How's things going there?
Well, it starts to grow again. We're getting into the second wave.
Yeah.
We had some measures being stopped, or how do you say this in English? Simplified, but now they stop it. They say, well, we have to lock down again because it's too dangerous.
Yeah. There's different states here in the U.S. that are starting to lock down again as well, and it's just crazy. But
we do everything, state by state basis. So you'll have one state that's completely locked down, and the other state that's completely open. And so right now it's kind of a hodgepodge, fighting where the fires where they pop up kind of thing. Yeah. And so it's very unique here. I work basically. I'm sitting at my desk about 22 of 24 hours a day. So I really don't have much exposure myself. So I course I will do the whole mask thing when I go to the store and things like that. So
was there a lot of telework that was happening in Belgium before, or was it pretty quick?
No, all the time. Everybody, who could, went into telework mode. Working from home. Of course, there are a lot of places like hospitals and all these things where like transport people are still working.
Yeah.
But if possible, they said, well, go to telework and avoid any contact with people you don't meet every day.
Right. Yeah.
We had some time that all the restaurants and bars were closed, but then they opened, and having a good beer.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the coronavirus hit, and there's a lot of things. Everybody stayed home, but the liquor sales went up dramatically. like wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's not a surprise. Everybody's staying home. What else? What else to do?
I'm feeling sick. The headache.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time and for talking to us. We really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Learned a lot about your company and some really exciting stuff that you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, if you need anything or have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Everybody who's listening, like, share, get this out there. We really want you to be to help us grow this podcast and continue. And we can't do that unless you're sharing it out and getting people to like it and share it. And then we can bring on these awesome guests like today. So again, it was wonderful to be here with everybody. And if you guys need anything, let me know.
All right. Hey, thank you, Jason. Andy.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Bye.